Hello everyone, this is my report for round 8 of the Cellavision tournament that I played in Lund this last weekend. This was an over-the-board tournament, not an online tournament, and it was my first real life tournament in maybe 13 years. Um, I have to say that it shows my lack of experience. I will be talking mostly about the things that I saw during the game. This is my very first analysis of the game. I have not used an engine to check any variation, so keep that in mind when you hear me talk about moves, because they might be inaccurate. Um, one of the things that I have to say about my opponent, who was playing white, is that he played incredibly fast. There was a point where we reached I reached the 40-minute mark. I had 40 minutes left, and he had 1 hour and 20 minutes. The initial time was 1 hour and 30 minutes, and you gain 30 seconds per move. So that was significant, in my opinion. I have to say that I lost this game, even though I am completely sure that I had a killing advantage. I lost on time, believe it or not. Even when you gain 30 seconds with each move, in the end, you will see the final position. I am pretty sure I had checkmate or winning an incredible amount of material, but in trying to realize how to capitalize on this, I just spent way too much time and I couldn't keep it up. So my opponent starts with e4. I play usual Sicilian, and he goes for the wing gambit, which I basically just know by name. I haven't studied this. I have studied other anti-Sicilians like the Alapin, but not the wing gambit. So what I was left was with just some general knowledge of openings, which is why I played b6. I thought if he takes on c5 I can recapture and everything is sort of normal. But then he decides to push, which is not surprising. It takes away the c6 square from my knight, which is the usual square where you want to develop the knight. So here I immediately started thinking of a6, trying to force an exchange here, but c6 and then pawn takes, sorry, a6. A6, we can look at this, something like pawn takes and maybe bishop takes. This might be met with bishop takes, and here I think I would take with the rook. Try to discourage a little bit pressure on this side. This would be a natural reply, I guess, protecting the pawn and putting some pressure here so the knight cannot easily develop. And I saw this position and I didn't like it. I think there is nothing absolutely terrible about it, but it seems to me that white has an easier game. This might be a normal continuation, and then black might be okay. I don't know, because as I said before, I haven't really studied this opening. So what I'm playing right now are moves that I consider normal. In the game, I went for d5 directly, going at it, going at the center, trying to not allow him to get advantage in the center as well, because what I saw right now is that the b5 pawn is hindering my queen side, is in some way holding it hostage, and it's also affecting my normal development. So I felt that I had to gain some space to recover some something. I would say that at this point I have lost just a tiny little bit of equality. Um, Again, this might be theory, so take it with a grain of salt. So takes, knight c3, very normal. I expected this, and I played queen d7 because I realized that the a8 h1 diagonal is open, and because of the pawn configuration, the bishop will be better placed there. Queen d7 is aimed at preventing queen f3. If I had played something like this, for example, trying to keep the queen a little bit active, then this move comes in and my rook on a8 is trapped. I didn't think I could pull any tricks if I didn't play queen d7. So that's why I played queen d7. Then bishop f3, going for the same line. But now the queen is in time. The queen is able to protect bishop b7 if needed. So queen f6, sorry, knight f6, trying to get development because my opponent is almost ready to castle and my king is still pretty much stuck in the center. I need 2 tempi before I can actually castle. And being a Sicilian, I know that that white can gain a lot of activity and I wanted to avoid that. So knight f3 and bishop b7. This was another not critical moment, but I had to do something because maybe I could play now queen d6 uh, because clearly the knight is going to jump on e5 and then most likely to c6. So I wanted to not give such so much activity to my opponent, but at the same time, if I move my queen, I would be moving the same piece one more time. It already moved to d5, it already moved to d7. That's 2 times that the queen has moved. If I move it again, I will have moved it 3 times. Then my opponent would castle, and then I would still need 2 tempi to castle. If I had seen knight f3, maybe I would have played e6 in this move. And, well, it is still 2 tempi after that. Knight f6 was needed anyways. So I think I don't regret that now. So bishop b2, in hindsight, maybe there was no real way, or maybe there was real way, of preventing knight e5 if I had played, for example, queen c7 again, moving the same piece more than once. In this case, it would be 3 times. Stopping this, that might have worked. One of the things that I didn't like was potentially this break. If this comes to happen, I'm not sure who would stand better. It's clear that these exchanges are not making me a happy camper, but at the same time, this isn't really possible, is it? If black were to take, white can actually take the bishop because there's no way of stopping the capture here. Some trick with a check can be met in a number of ways. Perhaps it's better to block like this. And the rook is still trapped. This would be fatal for black. Trying to gain some activity, trying to stop this guy maybe. It can prove very troublesome. I did not want this position at all. That's a pass pawn, that's a risky pass pawn. The position is very dynamic, I think. Maybe queen takes h2 and bishop f3 or I don't know. It seems too risky and I couldn't see all the combinations, and I didn't find a line that would make me feel comfortable. So I played e6, castle, bishop e7, getting ready to castle. I saw this knight jump, of course, and queen c7 and bishop f3, and here I thought a tremendous amount of time. I think I probably spent some 25 minutes on the next move, because I had to get rid of the bishop. Of course, I cannot do it right now because bishop takes b7 and then the rook is hanging. If I play knight d7, knight in b d7, then I'm giving away control of the c6 square, and then a knight or a bishop can jump there and stay there, and that would be a problem. So I had to figure out how to deal with this situation, and I decided to just castle, because eventually I had figured out exactly how to deal with this position. But after castling, I could take on f3 and play knight b d7, and the rooks would be connected, so they would protect each other. Then, yes, I am aware that I would be granting white space to play knight c6. But I thought perhaps I could stop that with pawn a6 or in some other way. I felt that castling was needed anyways. a4 is a move that I didn't like from my opponent. I think there must have been something better. Perhaps knight e2. I was considering knight e2 or rook e1. The idea is to protect the b5 pawn with the c pawn. That I thought that could be better, but the knight on e2 isn't really better. The knight is definitely not better there. But it has to move somewhere. I don't know where, but the bishop on b2 otherwise is doing absolutely nothing. And the knight protecting a pawn that is not even attacked, that's a waste. So maybe that, maybe d3. I'm really not sure, but I do feel that another move was probably better. a4, and yes. So I proceeded with the plan and played knight b d7, completely aware that the knight would reach c6 and that it could potentially be a big pain in the behind. The threat with knight c6 is to capture on e7 with a check. But at the same time, I thought that I could just go back, and if I have enough pressure, the knight would probably not find a way out. So in the lines that I calculated, I determined that playing knight c6 was premature, and that's why I played bishop d6. So bishop d6 does a couple of things. First, it attacks the h2 pawn. Second, it overprotects or overcontrols the e5 square, and it also moves away from the risky square. So now this knight really has nowhere to go. Can't jump here, can't jump back. It's at this moment the knight is trapped, and there is a tempo on the pawn. So white is in a bit of pickle here. They played this move, which given the circumstances I think is a good move. It posed some complications. Suddenly I have to calculate things like if I can play for example, knight takes, queen takes, and then check. If I could play knight e5, which was another idea that I was playing around. Let's see if this works. I think it probably doesn't. This. check. If we take with the pawn, can take back, and then maybe this is good enough. Maybe this is good enough. This line, however, doesn't give me any advantage. It gives me a doubled pawn, which is not the end of the world. It does come with a tempo, and then I have to be very careful. I would try to offer an exchange, even when this means triple pawns. This is an idea. This is an idea. The problem is, I also can play here, for example, offering the other pawn exchange. Going back is met with this rook lift. And things get nasty really fast. What to do? This is checkmate. I have to be careful with this rook lift and with this other rook lift. So I did see this line and I thought it was way too risky. I thought it was not necessary to play any of that. It looks fancy to play here, for example. And of course we would get rid of the knight if white were to play it there. If they would capture my bishop, this is not the best bishop in the world. But still, there is pressure here. Remember that when the knight moves, it would be double attack on the knight on f6, and the pawn on g7 is pinned. So that's basically a piece down. So where I move my knight next is incredibly important. I was thinking maybe here, tempo on the bishop, tempo on the pawn. This seems okay. But to be honest, during the game, I didn't see knight c4. I see it now because later in the game, this was a very important square for me. But at the time, I was already down 30 minutes, around 30 minutes. So this was a practical decision to play this other line. Bishop d6 here, and just take, and I saw a free pawn and I took it. And then I offered a queen exchange. This might not be the best solution. There probably was a better line, but I thought I'm up a pawn, I might as well trade pieces, right? He went for it. I'm not sure this was the best. I'm not sure it could have been avoided. Maybe queen e3, but then I was planning on playing queen h4 with a checkmate threat. And then queen h3 is the only way of stopping it. Takes, and just go back and maybe play the same line. Maybe play knight b8 and get rid of that pesty knight, because the problem with that knight is that it controls d8, and that is the square that helps me get to the open file, or the semi-open file. It also controls e7, so I can't play rook e8 and d7. I have to go for something like rook c8, rook c7, and then rook d7, and then use the open file, which is very problematic. It would take me, in order to get both rooks in the semi-open file, I would need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 6. It would take me 6 tempi to get both rooks synced in the semi-open file. That's just unacceptable. So removing this knight was really important for me. In the game, my opponent just exchanged queens. I was happy with that. Tempo on the pawn. Here again, I went on a deep think. I can't take the pawn. There's rook d1, of course. Now there's a lot to calculate. For example, takes, Rook takes, bishop. This might be the most critical line. And I thought this is perfectly fine. This has to be winning for white. There is just too much activity. My pieces cannot move. They just cannot move. The pawn on a7 is hanging as well. So definitely not. That pawn cannot be taken. I just went for this, and my opponent found a very nice move. I did not consider this move. So it forces me to take another decision. And again, if I were to play this game one more time, I would probably take here. And then he's forced to take with the knight, and then just play f6. And this seems like everything should be fine. Everything should be fine. Honestly, I don't know why I didn't play this in the game. I think this has a lot of merit. This should be the way to play this. Even with something like this, even with the slight pressure on the knight, I don't think there's anything to worry about. And I am up a pawn. That's the key thing. I am up a pawn. So yeah, in the game I just took the knight and then went for b4 with activity. And I thought there are a lot of pawns. So it's true that my opponent has the bishop, but a lot of pawns hints at a closed position. So my knight will probably be okay. I thought this was good enough. Rook g3, going for the cheap trick of bishop h6. So preventing that, I went for this. Another option that I considered during the game was to play f6. Again, this seems to be the same theme as before. And then just rook f6. Rook f7, sorry. Protecting everything. And also semi-developing the rook, because the rook then now can go to d7 easier in one tempo. And it's also protecting the a7 pawn, which is not under attack, but later on it will be. So it would have been a good way of proceeding. If something like this came to happen, I would be tempted to play rook e8, for example, and helping these two pawns march on. It's also very tempting to play g5 at some point. It's very tempting to play g5, king f7, and king g6. That's very, very tempting. I tried to make it work during the game, and I don't think I had a chance. So rook f d8, bishop h6, g6, knight c3. Sorry, pawn c3, attacking the knight. And I thought, this is a nice square. I'm attacking f2. I'm tying the f1 rook to the f file. I thought that was okay. I also saw that I had the jump knight b2, attacking the a5 at the a4 pawn. So I thought that was a good enough square. f4, I didn't really see f4 when I played rook fd8. I played rook fd8 just because it's the natural move. It's a developing move using the semi-open file, which was sort of my goal since the beginning. And this is a nice move because it threatens rook h5 check. It also stops f5 from playing. If I had played something else, whatever move, let's say rook a b8, then white has this option. I cannot take with this pawn, so I would have to take here, and then this rook is becoming active. Maybe it's not doing anything right now, but it's just, it doesn't feel like white deserves this much activity. I wanted to avoid anything like this. My knight, for example, can no longer jump to e5 if I want it. So I just went for this. Sort of forced to play king g1. Just doubling up, bringing up the other rook. And a5. And here, this is when I thought I started to misplaying the position. I do have a slight material advantage, but I am not sure how to proceed. I'm not sure how to capitalize on this. I was looking at moves like c3, uh, which is probably perfectly fine. It might not have anything wrong with it. I saw a ghost maybe in playing rook here, because I thought that at some point they could bring the rook back, and then I would have to protect the c4 pawn, and that's of course not the case because my knight is here. In this case, for example, I could have just taken the pawn. I don't see right now why this isn't good enough. They will never have this, and you know this is even more material right now. The knight is secure where it is, and I even have this move. So something like this, that's another pawn falling. And yes, it does it with a tempo here, but it doesn't really help at all because I have the check. So this seems to me like a better way to proceed. If they were to take, which I think is the best way to go, then something like this, then they're forced to defend. But I mean, what else? What's to fear? I think during the game I was thinking a lot of knight c5 and then knight b3 to block the defender, but the knight is perfectly fine here. I think I could just go for this pawn. I think there's not enough time to protect it, and I couldn't see the activity here. This definitely was a better approach. I think I definitely saw some ghosts. Oh yes, hold on. I think, yeah, I think the risk was rook a1. So yeah, I think this is what happened, what I feared. I'm not sure if I can get out of this one. Well, right now this hangs the pawn, sorry. But let's say, what's a non-committal move? Maybe this? And if I were ever to play here, they have rook a1 and I cannot capture the pawn. I think that's what I saw, that I couldn't really capture the pawn, that it was sort of a utopia. So this might be best, and then that. And now my rooks are defensive. Defending mate on the back rank and defending the pawn. So that's why I played f6. I wanted to get a flight square for my king. So takes, rook a1. Knight b3 is probably not the best move, but my idea was to jump to c4 and defend the pawn. I would rather have a knight defending the pawn than the rook. From c4 the knight would also be attacking the d2 pawn. Again, if I had previous knowledge of how it would pan out, I would probably play this directly. It's not a bad move, and everything should be fine, but the end this allowed activity. So if my king were on f7, I could just push. I could just push the g6 pawn, and then the bishop is trapped. What happened is that I had to play this now, and they do this with tempo, and then a bunch of checks, and the bishop escapes. So if I could stop the bishop from escaping, that would have been a great accomplishment. So instead of knight b2, maybe play here. And if they go on with this idea, now I have this move. And if they take, I can recapture, go here, maybe something like this. If they were ever to play this line, that bishop is gone. That bishop is just gone. I could even ignore the threat, or I could even just play it super safe, and the bishop is absolutely gone. So this move doesn't really work in this line. If here there's a slight difference, because they can cut my king from a threatening square. But again, this should be good for black. I don't know why I didn't play this. Looking at the game, I'm thinking I did not play this so well. I think there was a lot to improve. This, and this. And this is bad. I am seeing that this is really, really bad. Yeah, this pawn is really annoying. Doesn't let me do anything. Okay, so maybe that line didn't work ever. I really don't want to give up one rook. Rook d7, rook takes, rook takes, rook takes, and that would be rook and rook versus knight. It would be just an exchange. But in this ending, the rook would win, of course. Okay, so that idea seems to have been flawed. Still, I can't help but wonder if this would have worked. Anyways, this is what happened in the game. A bunch of threats, and suddenly my pieces are defensive. This knight is not doing what I wanted it to do. I think it's still good. I think I still have a good advantage here. I really must have a good advantage. The reason why I think I have a big advantage is because white has a hanging pawn. The pawn on d2 is hanging right now. I already am up a pawn. The bishop doesn't really have very useful squares, and there is this coordination between the white rooks. Those are the three things that jump to me right now. I don't know why I didn't play just rook takes d2. I really don't understand why I didn't play rook d2. I think I was fearing something. It does make sense to bring the knight back. It's a tempo on the rook, but even here, it should be just safe to take the pawn. Anyways, I took it in the next move. But still, I think I should have taken it in the previous move. So minor threats and rook a1. And I think rook a1 is a really good move. I was very low on time at this point. I must have had less than 3 minutes. Yeah, definitely less than 3 minutes at this point. And I started playing weak. Here I played rook, knight e4, and this is just a really bad move. This move is just disastrous. Okay, it's not a blunder because I'm not losing a pawn or a piece or anything like that, nothing directly. I'm actually threatening stuff, but I am giving away the f1 square, and this allows a check. Now, I calculated here that if I try to escape through the e-file, I would lose the knight. And I didn't want that. Maybe I was wrong, so let's try it now. Check. Check. Yeah. I can just do this. I think I can just do this and everything should be fine. This is a beautiful knight right here. If this queen moves, the bishop is hanging. If this rook moves, can I just go back? And then the bishop is still under attack, the other pawn is hanging, and I am close to forcing an exchange. Seems completely winning. I can't believe I didn't see this. I missed so many moves during the game. Completely ridiculous. If white were to play something like this, I still don't see the counterplay. Takes. I takes. I don't even have to answer with the rook. If I don't want to give the b8 file for attacking the pawn or the d6 to the other rook, I can just stick with the king. The rook is under attack. If they try something weird, just go forward and try to make my way out to c4. This rook is perfectly placed to defend both pawns. And this is also an idea, always to come back. So these two pawns should definitely decide the game. Yeah, this seems good. I don't know why I didn't see it during the game. I feared that I was losing my knight. I think I didn't see that I could block the check on e8 with the rook, which is completely noobish, but yeah. So I played this, and this is a bad move. It gives away so much material. I mean, so much activity. Rook b8 is a good move, and the point is that there is rook f4 check, and I cannot take with the pawn, and I missed that. So I played this move, which is bad. It gives a pawn. I don't know. During the game, I was looking at other things that were less excellent, let's say. There was this idea. Check here and then here, but this is still not enough. I'm pretty sure I can still take. And after this check, and here, there was this other check, and here. And, you know, any number of checks, and I should be fine. I don't see why this wouldn't work for me. I'm going to check this with the engine later. Remember, this is very prone to missing things, missing tactics. This is just my skill on a long day after work. So play continued with f5, check, and then just take the pawn. And I cannot take the c4 pawn right now because the g5 is hanging. So protecting it in some way, maybe not the best. Again, I didn't want to play rook g7. There would be exchanges, but the other rook would end up in g7, and then there are things like no, but still, I could capture both pawns, and this should have been good. Let's say, sorry, is it? Yeah, it is my turn. Okay. So rook takes, check, or attacking the knight, takes here. I am still on time, and this has to be winning. This pawn is hanging as well. I don't know why did I fear this so much. That's 3 pawns up. A real shame, a real shame. I can't explain it. I'm gonna blame it on lack of experience and lack of time, because I was incredibly low on time. So I played this, he went for that, tried to exchange. This means the other pawn is hanging. And here he played g3. And g3 has to be a major blunder. It has to be a huge, huge blunder. I played this gambling on that I could checkmate him. giving up the b pawn, of course. Then he plays this, which is an odd looking move. It looks really fancy, but after king f3, I am sure I'm still winning, and I can't see this yet. I think 92 check is a mistake, and this part is an exercise. Maybe you can spot it. There has to be something amazing here. I didn't see it. I played this and I lost on time. Like when I made a move, the clock started bleeping. So it doesn't matter. I lost on time because I couldn't find the winning move here. So this is just my usual guesswork right now. It feels like a check. It's in order. King here, only move. Okay, knight e4, maybe going knight f2 and threatening checkmate there. Yeah. How does white stop that? Maybe here trying to throw a check. That could be it. Because otherwise this check has to come, then this. So there is no checkmate threat, but they're out of a bishop. And this pawn is hanging, and everything seems pretty bad. The rook is hanging. Oh wait, this check here. I cannot take the pawn because there's this nasty check, but I can play this, and then maybe just push the king back and then take, and this is of course super win. Yeah. So maybe rook d1 first was the winning move. Maybe it doesn't matter that much. Maybe even knight here attacking the rook is good enough. If they try something like this, I think I'm still on time. Oh wait, no, this is bad. This, sorry, this check, then here only move. There is no checkmate threat anymore. There is no checkmate threat. There is even another check here. You have to go away. There's even another check here. You have to go away. Well, this is very instructional. Yeah, okay. And then the pawn hangs. No, there's this jump, so can't take that. Whoa. There's that fork is huge. That fork is huge. Okay, another check to prevent forks. And then only move. And then what else? This is horrible, by the way. There's this check. This is only move. Check. There are many ways now. It gets lost now in the variations. There's no way I could have seen all of this. So maybe rook d1 first. Sorry, here. Maybe rook d1 first was more accurate. Ha! Incredible, because the threat is knight here and checkmate on h1. That is the checkmate. And then that forces this, and then I guess I could very very simply just take. The threat is still there. Here, here, and there's checkmate threat now here on f2. Okay, so I guess that was the line. If you find another line, if you find another variation, please let me know in the comments or reach out to me on Discord. I'm sorry this analysis turned out to be so long. 45 minutes is probably too long. I will try to shorten the next one. I do have two more games that I want to show. So I will post them as soon as I can. Please let me know your thoughts, everything. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. Bye.